You're listening to the Domenick Nati Show. News, gossip, celebrity interviews with limited knowledge and accuracy in sports and politics. And now, your host, celebrity publicist, Domenick Nati.
That's right. It's Friday, and it is time for the Domenick Nati Show on Intellectual Radio in Chicago and iHeartRadio. Wow. Well, Caitlyn Jenner cannot serve in our military. Big news this week. No transgenders allowed. That's it. Donnie Dictator has made the call via Twitter. Apparently that is where laws are being written now. So you need to check Twitter as an American to know what you can and cannot do. That does not have anything to do with our show, because today's guest is Donnell Rawlings, Ashy Larry. Donnell Rawlings, stand-up comedian, actor, part of the Chappelle Show. He is our guest today. You might recognize him if you see him. Look him up. You know who Donnell Rawlings is. So yes, he is our guest today. I am calling upon my brother-in-law, Nate, for this interview. Nate and I will be interviewing him together, and we're going to ask him some really good questions. Ask him about the Chappelle Show. Ask him about how he got into stand-up. Learn a little bit about his passions as far as comedy and also acting. And just get to know him. He is super funny. I'm telling you, this interview is a fun one. I was in a really silly mood. I tried to compete with Donnell a little bit because I myself am very funny. And whenever anyone says they're funny, they always are. It's always a good sign that they've got some quick wit. Just like Donnell Rawlings, who is our guest today. And we'll be right back with him right after this awkward drop from Bill Cosby.
5, 4, 3, 2, go.
This is Bill Cosby, and you're
not. No, you're not Bill Cosby.
Oh, you're Bill Cosby.
Yes, I am.
And this is the best radio show.
Good for you.
What?
No, what do you want?
I was wanting you to say you're Bill Cosby, because that in your voice to prove that you've actually been on the show.
Why would they not believe that I was on the show after you played a tape of me?
I guess
help me out.
Other radio shows do this, and we're trying to compete with them by getting a big name.
Well, you have that. You have Bill Cosby, and I am a big name.
I'm a big fan of the show.
Yes, I am.
Right. He's listening.
And you know why? So far, this is the only program I've listened to. Just the one with me on it.
Yes. Right. That's the only one.
That's why it's my favorite.
So if Bill's listening, you should be too.
And my name is Bill Cosby, and I approve this message.
This is the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio. Are looking for a creative and effective way to market your product or services? Are you an entertainer or recording artist looking for a captive audience to display your talent to? The Domenick Nati Show is now offering on-air commercial advertising for as low as $50. Your product or talent will be presented by celebrity publicist Domenick Nati and be seen on our social media accounts and on iHeartRadio and select stations throughout the country. Send us a message on social media at Dom Nati Show or email DomenickNatiShow@gmail.com for more information. The Domenick Nati Show, maximum exposure, minimum censorship. You're listening to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio.
We got the man himself on the line, Donnell Rawlings. Donnell, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
So you also spent some time in Korea, right, when you were stationed in the Air Force? Now, Can you translate the lyrics of Gangnam Style for us?
The Gangnam Style lyrics, the translation is, I tricked all these dumb Americans into making me a multi-millionaire with a hacky. He's not saying gun. He's like with a happy, be quiet, I'm on the phone. Those are my kids. Sorry. You know, these damn black dogs.
I know. They got high-pitched voices.
Yeah, the translation is I tricked all you guys into riding with me on this video, and I never want to see you guys again.
You can speak Korean. How about that?
Wow, he's pretty fluent.
Yeah, I'm fluent. Well, people always, they look at my bio and they see that, but I'm conversation level. I know enough just so I could get, women of the night won't jip me off, and for me not to be eating the wrong meats whenever I'm in Korea. That's
the
how it goes.
So you've been in the entertainment for over 20 years now, like producing, writing, acting. Are any of these in particular like your favorite?
Thank you for telling everybody my age on the low.
well, who's to say you didn't start when you were 3?
That's right. Yeah.
I would have been. They would have heard about it.
So out of all these things you've done between producing and writing and acting, what would be like your favorite, your passion out of that?
The one that I think that you didn't even name is it was a year that I started being a male porn star.
Yes.
That was a year. I didn't get too much press on that, but that was a good year, you know.
Yes.
And it all started because I was having a show that wasn't going too well.
Indeed, none of the above.
Yeah, the women said take it off. Next thing you know, I was in a different field.
Sprawling Rawlings, wasn't that your stage name?
Yeah, that's it. I'm using it. That'll be the new one.
Sprawling Rawlings.
It is now.
Yeah.
Oh man, how long have you been doing stand up?
Stand up for like 18 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, very cool. So I guess it's been probably one of the biggest. Has that been like the largest time investment that you spent in the entertainment business?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe like 3 years into my career, I started doing some like small acting gigs.
Yeah.
And I had some success with the Chappelle Show and The Wire and a couple of other things. But the thing that's been closest to me, and for the most part, that creates my lifestyle, is stand-up comedy. You know, like. People always like, go to Hollywood, do more film and TV, but if those auditions are not in front of you, you got to still eat. So stand-up is what, you know, I like the acting, but stand-up is really my heart.
Very cool.
Okay, so you mentioned the Chappelle Show. Now, that was obviously your characters there they're still being talked about today. Everybody loves them. How did that come about? How did you wind up linking up with the Chappelle Show?
I was a co-executive producer, and he was like 50-50 on the production and just creative part of Chappelle. Years ago, he was a PA doing auditions for In Living Color. Fan of my audition and my work. Him and David wrote a couple of films that weren't getting greenlit, and he wanted to explore directing and editing and everything. So he came up with a short film idea, and he reached out to my manager and asked me would I be a part of it. At the time, I didn't think the guy was already loaded. I was like, I know you can't afford to pay me, but if you're having a situation where you could throw me a bone, do it. So Chappelle Show came along, and Neil Brennan brought me in, you know, with the support of Chappelle endorsing it, but it was Neil Brennan who gave my first look into that show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, what about now? We were joking a little bit before we started the interview, but you do have a career in radio, or you did. You were on Power 105 with Ed Lover. Now, you did some racial jokes. Now, was that a part of you leaving the show, or was that just like coincidental? I mean, I know you had some Asian jokes, and I think you made a Jewish comment. Was that like the reason why you left that show? I know it was pretty controversial at the time.
Well, the reason why I left that show is because I had a no cause clause in my contract, which meant that they could just get up one day and say, "Get his ass out of here," you know. But it was I thought originally it was this joke. I did this feature. I used to do these features called "Do You Think You're Smarter Than Something?" We did. Do you think you're smarter than a Jamaican? You think you're smarter than a stripper? And everybody thought it was funny. But once I did, do you think you're smarter than a Chinese dude? It was like, whoa, you can't do that joke here. You know.
That's crazy. You were an equal opportunity offender, and then
yeah, I said I think if I spread the hate around, but it wasn't hate. It was funny. But you know, like a lot of times, certain communities have like a grip on that ad time, that ad space, and they look at it like, Donnell, we can like you as a talent, whatever, but if this person's get upset and they start pulling that money, we all know how that's going to end up. You know?
You also think it's also like a time? I mean, because what year was that? That was like for 2008.
Yeah, but I think that I mean, I kind of know what you're about to say, but
yeah,
it was that time when the whole Don Imus thing was going on.
Yeah.
So this was a bad time. You know, everybody was super sensitive.
Yeah.
Every program director felt like they had to show you that they was doing change, not to be the Don Imus of it. So like, I think that first week, every program director had to fire somebody just to validate their job, and I just got caught up in the sauce.
Yeah,
you know? That sucks.
Blame the black man, right? Is that what they did?
Yeah, it was, man. This was free. This was free Django. I didn't even have a gun to go avenge these people that did me wrong.
Django.
That would have been nice. Back then, when I got fired, if I would have just played the soundtrack to Django,
That's
right.
right.
Like, I'm out of here. Django.
That's right.
Oh man. So you got a couple movies coming up later this year, don't you?
Make it. You know, nowadays movies are so hard to get to them. Your theatrical release. You know, you stay doing things, doing movies, and doing different things so you can just keep your chops up. But you never know. I look at it like it was a payday. Whenever I do something, I look at it as a payday. It was another opportunity for me to get better, and then hopefully it'll give me another opportunity.
Are any of those projects?
You got the last film festival, right? Yeah. Percentage and Singlet, the Dana Kelly story. Any of those three look like they might be promising?
You may have a shot to come out.
What's that about?
It's a movie with Cameron, rap star Cameron.
Yeah.
He's a guy that had a certain lifestyle in New York. He moved away to the South to try to clean his life up and get it together. But then he found out the same traps that caught him in New York are the same things that follow him and in Miami. And I play like just a sidekick dude, part of a gang that always crack jokes. You've never heard that part or that premise before. Yeah, black drug dealer moves down south, becomes a black drug dealer down south. Instead of getting imprisoned in New York, he gets imprisoned down south. And you know the food is a lot better opposed to a New York prison, you know?
So we are celebrity publicists, and we like to talk a little bit about PR. So what do you view? Do you have a stance on PR? What is your view of the importance of publicity?
I think it's one of the most important parts of your career if you're an entertainer. But the whole thing with that is that if you can afford it, because the only way you're going to get the best publicist if you have the best money. You know, and I had a situation where I had a publicist that was working well for me, but you know, my gigs started slowing up. So it didn't make sense for me to pay her all the money I was paying for a retainer when the gigs weren't backing up. But I think if you could find somebody, like everybody's not money hungry, if you could find a publicist that believes in you and they know that they have a future with you and you can make money, I think that's what you have to make that connection. Because the bottom line is, it doesn't matter how much talent that you have, if you don't have the right people behind you or the right people pushing it, or the right people saying this guy is the next best thing since cornbread or sliced bread, whatever.
Cornbread.
I think you need that.
We're going to take a cornbread break real quick.
Yeah, a little shout out to the South there.
Yeah, cornbread break all day.
That's a perfect pitch for Natty Celebs, right? I mean, this is great. We're like the Walmart of PR.
We're like rock bottom price PR.
We're like multi-grain tortillas to cornbread.
That's right.
Oh, man.
So Nate's last name is Fouts. Now, we do this with everybody. It's Fouts Fast 5. It's going to be 5 rapid-fire questions at random. I feel like you can handle it. Are you ready?
And you just give us your best answer as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Go. Is it feminine
because I'm black.
All 5 of them.
Yeah,
right down the line.
Is it feminine for a man to use a loofah?
Oh, hell yeah, it's feminine for a man to use a loofah. And I talked about this on one of my shows. The only loofah a man should have anywhere in his bedroom or close to his shower is loofah Van Draws. That's the only that's the only loofah you should ever support.
All right, number 2. Have you ever used the phrase cool beans?
Phrase cool beans. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. I was trying to date this white girl once, right? And I didn't think word up was going to get it, so I was like, totally cool beans. So I have used it.
But a gangster could never say cool beans. Like, you couldn't be a G to throw out a cool bean.
No, but it was a white chick. I met her in Starbucks. I definitely wasn't trying to be a G in Starbucks.
Totally acceptable.
Were you wearing a sweater?
Yeah.
I was wearing a cardigan sweater tied around my waist.
That's not part of Fouts Fast 5, but that was a question. Yeah. That was bonus. All right, so number 3, Jefferson Airplane or George Jefferson? Jefferson Airplane or George Jefferson? George
Jefferson all the way, man.
All right, bigger man, RuPaul or Whoopi Goldberg?
Both of them are the same guy.
All right, number 5, Mr. T or Shaft?
It's definitely got to be Mr. T. I pay the food to even make that comparison.
Oh,
I agree. I'm with him on that one.
No, 70s Shaft. I mean, even 70s Shaft and 80s Mr. T.
70s Shaft couldn't. First off, the first black dude to wear a mohawk in public,
That's true.
he should win just on that alone.
That's true.
You know?
And he doesn't age, apparently.
White people didn't even copy that. Like, it took like 10 years for white people to even try it. So that's true. And now everyone's wearing them.
And then he was the first one that promoted like 20 pounds. I bet he wish he had all those gold chains where he could exchange them for some money now.
Yeah, he's getting a little light on the gold nowadays.
Well,
Yeah.
Dono, I'm going to let you know that you were the first person to actually score perfect plus get the extra credit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, man. It's all because the movie Django inspired me to do better.
That's
man.
right.
Exactly.
Donnell, thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thanks, guys. You guys are great. Have fun, man.
All right, thank you.
Hey, it's your girl Amber Rose, and you're listening to the Domenick Nati Show.
This is the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio. Do you have a business and are looking for a creative and effective way to market your product or services? Are you an entertainer or recording artist looking for a captive audience to display your talent to? The Domenick Nati Show is now offering on-air commercial advertising for as low as $50. Your product or talent will be presented by celebrity publicist Domenick Nati and be seen on our social media accounts and on iHeartRadio and select stations throughout the country. Send us a message on social media at Dom Nati Show or email DomenickNatiShow@gmail.com for more information. The Domenick Nati Show, maximum exposure, minimum censorship. Listening to the Domenick Nati Show on iHeartRadio and Intellectual Radio.
We're back. Domenick Nati Show, iHeartRadio, Intellectual Radio. That was our exclusive interview with Donnell Rawlings. Yes, that was me and my brother-in-law Nate and Donnell. You get the idea. Hey, I hope he made you laugh. I like when he said he used to do porn, and I said his name should be Sprawling Rawlings. Huh? That's pretty funny. Anyway, thank you, Donnell. You are a great interview. We will be on the lookout for some of your future movies. I hope they work out. And thank you all for listening to yet another episode of the Domenick Nati Show. So we will see you next weekend right here, Friday afternoon on the Domenick Nati Show. We'll see you next week.